Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another Monday Live. Today, I've got my wonderful best friend and my go-to astrologer, Asya Rose. We're going to be talking about eclipse season and what is going on. I mean, this past weekend, we had a crazy eclipse, full moon, blood moon. I don't know. I couldn't sleep all weekend. I don't know about you guys, but dreams have been intense, deja vus have been intense, glitches have been intense, just physical symptoms have been intense. I got so wickedly sick this past weekend as well. So I'm still recovering from that. Um, and it's not over. It is not over. We've got so much more coming this month. So I'm excited to talk about it. And I don't know too much about eclipses, but I just know that I'm feeling all of the symptoms. So let's just actually just start off with exactly like what is the energy that an eclipse brings? Like, I guess from my perspective, it's sort of a good time to purge, to clear. Like it's like an ending, it's a beginning. We're in a 9 year, we're already ending so much. And then I feel like the eclipse energy is just, really just deepening that purging and that clearing and that ending. But yeah, if you could just kind of give us a lowdown on what exactly eclipse season really means and what that brings to us.
Yeah. Thanks for having me back on, Liz. I've been on this channel a couple of times already. And for those new, hi, welcome. Nice to meet you. Um, Great question. So every month we have a new moon, every month we have a full moon. Okay. And typically, and I say this very often, even in your monthly calls that I do and everything, new moons are about bringing in new beginnings, fresh starts, new opportunities, planting new seeds, right? That's why they're called new moons. Full moons are more about endings, completions, closing doors, closing chapters, right? I always say the moon is full, so it's complete. Something typically needs to be reflected on. The door needs to close typically, or if it doesn't close, usually the energy in the sky will do it for us. So because we have this going on every moon, we're kind of in this consistent purging, new beginning, purging, new beginning, purging, new beginning energy consistently throughout the whole year. But every 6 months, we have eclipses, right? So, and it's always an eclipse season, not just an eclipse day. There's always two of them. They always come in pairs. And there's usually one, and 2 weeks later, there's another one. So when you think about the intensity typically of like a full moon, for example, like I have a friend who works in the emergency room, who's a physician. And whether he believes in astrology or I always say people don't need to believe it in or not. It's just it's happening whether you believe it's happening or not. It's kind of like the weather, right? So he says I always know whenever there's a full moon in the hospital because the emergency room is always nuts, right? Like every full moon every month, like without fail, it's chaos in the emergency room. So just like we can feel full moons pretty intensely every month, eclipses are like new moons and full moons really amplified. They're kind of like new moons and full moons on steroids. So it's just more extreme purging, more extreme beginnings. And for a lot of people who've been getting like flashes of insight on what to do, where the change needs to be, but they've been kind of dragging their feet, eclipses bring profound changes and profound beginnings because they kind of sometimes do the work for you where we have been hesitant to kind of take action on our own.
Mm, okay, great. So this actually brings up a really good point because I was thinking about this the other day. So September for me, and I was like feeling this all throughout July, all throughout August. I kind of had this sort of inkling that September was going to bring this sort of fresh energy to me. It's like, okay, just get through this month, just get through this challenge, just get through this upset. And, September is going to bring that new energy. And and so from my understanding, for those of us who have been showing up, who have been listening, who have been collapsing, who have been challenged, who have been sort of bringing a lot of closure and endings to things and been in that this year, September and this eclipse season should bring this new beginning. For those people who have been,
In
like you
theory,
said, in theory,
we'll talk about that in a second. Yeah.
right? But for those who have been dragging their feet and not listening and sort of resisting some of those intuitive messages, it's going to be a little bit of a rug pull. And I just want to mention that. So if it's shocking, if it's surprising, if you really thought that, that person was, a great coworker or a good neighbor or your best friend or whatever, and then they leave or something blows up, that's what this season's going to bring about. It's going to bring about clarity, but sometimes it comes through as a very shocking or surprising thing. And I just want to sort of remind people that this is a good month to just clean out the closet, okay? And I don't mean that literally, I mean that figuratively, because this is a 9 year. And so just remind me, Asha, like, is this the last eclipse season of 2025, or do we haven't? Yeah, it is. Okay, so please do your work now, because the second we move into 2026, which is a numerological 1 year, you don't want to be dragging any of this old stuff in with you. You don't want to be dragging any of this old karmic stuff or cycle stuff. You don't want to keep dragging your feet. So allow the eclipse season to intensify things, allow it to clean out the closet for you. And sometimes the best thing to do during this time is to surrender. If you don't know who you are, where you're going, what's coming next, that's okay. Sometimes that's the best place to be in, to be like, okay, I am just floating downstream, right? Don't try and swim upstream, because you're just going to be competing against those rapids or those energies.
Yeah.
So would you sort of agree with that?
Oh, 100%. I always tell people, every month when we have the new moons and the full moons, we can kind of play around with energy. We can really do manifestation work. We can kind of, not that we really have control over anything in our lives, really. And for some people, even that statement might be triggering. But we can kind of I don't want to say manipulate, but focus the energy in certain aspects or kind of like have tunnel vision towards where we're focusing the energy, right? For lack of a better way of saying that. During eclipse season, it's kind of like things are a little bit unpredictable, chaotic, out of our control. So you don't really want to do like manifestation work
Mhm.
during eclipse season or anything like that, because you don't really know how things are going to transpire and they may show up in unexpected ways. Let's say you're somebody who's saying, I really want to move. I really want to move. I really want to move. I know I've been getting this inkling, like, I can't stay here. I can't stay here. I can't live here. I can't live here. And then all of a sudden you're like, well, it's an eclipse. It's about new beginnings. It's about purging the old. So I want to set some intentions. I'm going to do some manifestation work and I'm going to do this. I'm going to set the intention out there that like, I want to move, right? Well, next thing you know, eclipse season shows up and suddenly you have a flood in your home and you're kicked out of your house and like half your belongings something has happened to them or they've gotten damaged. And you're like, well, I have to move now. And I'm like, well, yeah, well, yes, you got what
Mhm.
you wanted, right? You wanted to move, but it didn't quite show up in the way that you expected it to show up. By the way, this is not to cause fear or anxiety for anybody. This doesn't mean it's going to happen in this abrupt of a way for everyone. But I'm saying that's why I always tell people, um, eclipses, it's not our job to try to control how things transpire. It's better for us to get out of the way and then deal with the aftermath of whatever that was that happened. Whatever is supposed to stay in your life will stay through an eclipse season. Whatever is supposed to end in your life will more than likely try to release or end during an eclipse season. So I always say if things are falling off, if things are ending, especially during this first eclipse that we just had yesterday, right? Because that was a full moon eclipse, more about endings, more about reflection, more about purging. If things are ending right now, it's because it wasn't meant to stay. It's not our job
Mhm.
to control the outcome right now, because eclipses are very much related to karma, fate, destiny. And sometimes it doesn't mean that you're not still headed towards the mountaintop. It doesn't mean you're not still going to the goal, but maybe you're being redirected right now because the trail that you take to climb the mountain has shifted. It doesn't mean you're not getting there. It means the way you thought you were going to get there is now you're being redirected in a different direction now. So yeah, I completely agree with you. I don't think it's so much about trying to do unless you're like cleaning house and purging things out of your life. It's more about, all right, I'm just gonna like put my hands up in the air. Whatever needs to happen is gonna happen, and then at the end of the season, then I'll tap in and really like deal with whatever I need to deal with, that the eclipse caused or eclipses caused. I will say this: there are lots of planets that are retrograding right now and that will continue to retrograde. Well, what does that mean? Whenever a planet is retrograde, it means planets like to move direct, right? They like to move forward. They like to initiate action. Like just like we as humans like to move forward, right? We like to take action on things for most of us, right? Planets like the same thing. So when they're in a direct forward motion, things are moving forward, things are progressing, we're growing in our lives. When they are in a retrograde motion, it means that they're in a reflective state, they're in a pause state, they may be in a backward state. So as human beings, we're also going to feel this, right? Of like, oh shit, I thought I was making progress, but now I'm in a stall. Or I thought I was moving forward, but uh-oh, things aren't moving forward as much as I thought they would. And it's not just the planets are moving, a lot of planets are going to start retrograding and are retrograding right now. It's also that they're moving back into energies that we haven't really felt since like the beginning of the year and last year. So this from like now, from the beginning of the year until now, we've had a lot of change, like new, change. What's happening energetically now, while we're also in eclipse season, is some of the energy is moving backwards. And so now, for a lot of people, this eclipse season may bring themes up from the past, people back up from the past, situations back up from the past, where you're like, wait a second, I was evolving all year long. I was growing all year long. I was looking forward towards the new all year long. Why is this coming back up again? Why is the old creepy? Why am I hearing from this person again? And it's not that like you're kind of being tested. I hesitate to use that word. It's almost like before we can really usher in the new that we're supposed to in 2026, we kind of have to go back to the old to tie up whatever the loose ends are now. That's why there's so much emphasis on like, what have you still not purged? What have you still not really? It's not that you haven't done the work this year, and it's not that you haven't released this year, and it's not that you haven't embraced change this year. It's like, what is still there? What is the missing piece? What is like that little thing that you're like, well, I've done this, I've done this, I've done this, I've done this, but like, why do I also have to do this?
Right.
Does
Okay,
that make
so
sense?
then when is retrograde for the majority of these planets? When is that going to end?
Well, that's happening for several months. So,
Like basically
different
for the rest of the year, we're
the rest
talking?
of the year, we're kind of still in retro. Some of the planets are still in a backwards
And then
motion.
there's going to
Some of
be
them
a
aren't
lot of
really.
direct moving
They're
into the new year.
into the new year and kind
Okay.
of more into the spring. So
Okay.
this eclipse season is really highlighting like again, because the energy, so for those that didn't watch any of my previous videos on your channel, I talked about how we've collectively been in like fire and a water energy for like a few decades, right? Now this year we've moved into air. Sorry, I misspoke there. Earth and water. I misspoke. We've been in earth and water energy collectively for a long time, right? Now this year we've moved into fire and air. That's why we've
Right.
seen a lot more wildfires this year. That's why we've seen a lot more like drastic changes in winds. Some places have got tornadoes that they've never seen before. And like it's also manifested in extreme weather patterns we haven't seen in a really long time. That's all the energy shifting. Well, Earth like just takes its time making decisions, right? Like it's grounded, it's rooted, it's solid. It's like, I'm going to move slowly. I'm going to analyze. I'm
Mhm.
going to reflect. I'm going to move slowly before I take action. Water element likes to feel things through, likes to process, likes to reflect before taking action, right? You know this, you're a Cancer, right? So there's this collectively, we've been in this like reflective, slower moving energy for years and years and years and years. And this year, suddenly we were pushed into air, and fire is very quick. Air is very quick. And like I've been saying all year long, air spreads fire. So we've been
Mhm.
collectively moving. That's why there's been so much change so quickly, right? Because we've been moving so quickly. And I've been telling people nonstop that because the energy has moved so quickly, it also means we've had to move quicker and we've had to adapt quicker, which means we're no longer going to have the luxury. And I'm sorry if this is like a reality check for some people here, but you know, I love to give the reality checks. Um, this means that we're not going to have the luxury of taking 6 months to process stuff, to take a
Mhm.
year to think about things, to take 5 years to uncover stuff. It's like we have to make decisions quicker, we have to make decisions faster, and we have to move through energy much quicker too, move through the changes much quicker too. So now that we're kind of like ushering in like the old back in, and it's almost like we're being challenged with like how bad do you really want to grow, how bad do you really want to go into the new, and because things have moved forward so much quicker this year than a lot of people have expected, it also means we have outgrown things faster and quicker than we have expected. And this is part of some of the grief that's
Mm.
showing up with this energy, with this eclipse season right now, where people are like, well, in the beginning of the year, I thought I really wanted this. Why don't I want it anymore? It's only been a couple of months. It's only been a few months. How does that make any sense? I know I've been growing and evolving and changing, and everything's been happening so quickly. And I'm like, yeah, but that's why you don't want it anymore. Because you've been
Mm.
growing and evolving and changing so quickly, you might have actually outgrown the thing that you thought you wanted in the beginning of the year. So
Yeah.
we're also growing and adapting much quicker and faster because we've kind of been forced to.
Yeah, no, I definitely find that in my own life, like just the ability to process things so quickly. And then it's like you slow down and you have to feel everything, and then you're in that kind of fire, and then you slow down and you process. So that's why I think, that concept of vibrational navigation is so important to be able to slow down and to feel all of the emotions while you're in it, rather than just being in it all the time. That's so important. We're gonna take a really quick break. I want to just talk to you guys about a couple of other things, and then I want to talk about when the perfect time to manifest is going to be for the
Yeah.
rest of the year, and also what the energy of the next eclipse is going to bring, because it is going to be different. So yeah, if you guys are loving what Asha is saying, please go check her out on my website, elizabethapril.com. So I have like a monthly astrology reading. She does that for me every single month. So if you want the down low on what to expect every single month, she's done that for all of 2025, and you have been crazily spot on every single month. And you are now going to be doing that for all of 2026 as well. So I'm very happy to have you with our community. And of course, just in my life, because you give me all of my own updates. And then go follow her, Asya Rose, pretty much across all social medias. So just
Asya Rose
super
13,
informative stuff. Asya
number
Rose 13. Perfect. We'll link all your stuff below, and your website and stuff, and you do one-on-one sessions. So yeah, go check her out. And if you want your own readings and transits and you're in a really big life crisis, she's going to be your girl, and she's going to give you everything you need to know. Coming up, we've got the Galactic Federation meeting for September. I'm really excited about this one. We're going to be talking about the structure of the universe. Like, how does the universe work? How do all of the organic and inorganic beings work within that structure, right? A lot of you are talking about AI. A lot of you are wanting to know, like, how is this going to play out? I mean, AI is just so rapidly advancing. Everyone is scared. Some people are really excited, but how do they do it out there? Because AI and sentient AI and robots and inorganic beings, they've been out there for quite some time. So I'm excited about that. We're also going to be talking to the consciousness of Mother Gaia, Mother Earth. We're going to be talking and tapping into the consciousness of the sun. It's crazy. Some of you are like, that's not possible. It totally is. They have their own consciousness. We're going to be asking them, like, what's going on with you? How are you faring with all of these changes and astrological shifts? We're also going to be tapping into the light and dark battle. Where are we at on planet Earth right now? Are we on track still? And is there anything that we can do from home to sort of help? And so much more. So go check out the Galactic Federation. That'll be season 2025, episode 9, coming up on the 11th. And then we've officially launched the pre-sale of my next book. It's called Your Anxiety is Giving Me Anxiety. I am so excited about this. And it is just going to help so many people. And how I talk about anxiety, it's never been done before. It truly hasn't. And so I think that it's going to help a lot of people who just feel like they're at their wits' end, and a lot of people who have never even explored solutions to anxiety before. So you can grab that right now. Barnes and Noble, Simon and Schuster, Target, Walmart, Amazon. It is all over the place online for pre-sale only. So please get pumped up about that and go grab yourself a copy while they are available. Yeah, and of course, if you like this content and you like my channel in general, I think about 60% of you don't actually subscribe to the channel, you just watch it. So make sure you hit that subscribe button, like this video, and share it to someone who's just sort of in it right now, especially for the month of September, okay? If you need to know what's going on, what has been going on, and what to expect, then definitely share this video out and give it a thumbs up. So let's talk about the rest of September. Let's talk about not just that, but the rest of the year. Like, it's everything is speeding up and then it's slowing down, and we're in retrograde and we're closing and everything's blowing up and the
Yeah.
rugs are getting pulled and everything's shocking and surprising. And
It's like a
this,
ping pong match, like whiplash, right?
it
Back and forth,
truly
back and
feels
forth.
that way. So, I mean, give us some hope, right? Like, I guess my first question is, when would be a good time to really sit and think about what we want and to anchor that in a space astrologically that is a little bit more clear, a little bit more aligned? I mean, we've got November 11th, right? 11/11 coming up. I know I always do the Cosmic Gateway workshop, sort of cutting cords and clearing and manifesting for the next year in December, December 21st, actually, on the equinox. So when is an appropriate or good time to be manifesting before the year is done? Is there a little pocket for us at
Well,
all?
first of all, November 11th, I don't want to burst your bubble,
Oh
but we
no.
Mercury retrograde during that time period. So,
Okay.
but that's okay. We'll deal with that when we get to it.
Right.
Okay, like I said earlier, I'm going to reemphasize what I said earlier. Every month when we have a new moons are always about fresh starts, new
Okay.
beginnings. So every month you have like a prime opportunity to
Hmm.
like bring in something new. You don't have to wait 4 months, 6 months until like this is the exact date. You don't have to
Okay.
wait until Lionsgate or any of this other stuff.
Okay.
You don't have to. Like you have an opportunity for a fresh start every month should you choose to take it. The reason why I mentioned the retrogrades specifically that are happening right now is because a lot of people are going to be tempted to go backwards back into the past or to go back into old dynamics.
Mm.
So if you want to bring in the new, it's not so much about bringing in the new right now. It's more about, are you willing to release the old so that you
Mm.
can bring in the new, because you will be tempted with the old. You will be tempted with the
Okay.
past. You will be tempted to go backwards, dare I say. Not that everyone's going to go backwards, right? But there would be temptation there. Well, I realized this year in order to grow and evolve, it's too much work. It's been exhausting. So like maybe I should just like come back here and just get comfortable with where I've been,
I
right?
see. Yeah.
So I don't think it's so much about like when can I bring in the new, because the new door won't open until the old door closes. So right
Right.
now, it's more about make sure you're not so much about how am I taking steps forward, just make sure you're not taking steps backwards. I
Backwards.
think it's
Okay.
more important than
Yeah.
the forward steps quite yet, because there will be that like friction point of
Hmm.
I don't know if I want to go forwards, but it was more comfortable back here, so maybe I should just go back here. Does that make sense?
Really, that's so important. Yeah. And I mean, I've flip-flopped all year about back and forth, and what's safe and what's easy and what's comfortable. So definitely get that. Okay, so hold firm on the changes that have already happened. Love
Yes.
that. And then wait for the new moons to just find a small pocket of reprieve to take a moment to be like, oh, today's a new moon. Okay, what do I want? What feels good for me? And for me, something that's been really helpful is instead of being really, really specific about things, I've just been very general. I want
Mhm.
the highest timeline. I want ease and grace. Like that's it. You know what I mean? I just want like really simple things. And typically it does work out that way, especially when you just in general ask for the highest possible timeline for all involved. And you tend to sort of, flow into that direction. So, okay, so that's good. And then let's talk about the next eclipse coming up. So let me get this straight, right? So you were very informative at the beginning because I had no idea of any of that, right? So eclipses happen every 6 months and they always happen in pairs. So are we talking about a full moon eclipse and a new moon eclipse?
Yes.
Wow. I
So
know,
we
thank
just
you.
I know.
I made
Yay!
that conclusion all on my own. Okay, so now we've got an eclipse happening on the new moon,
Yes, which is on the
which
21st of
is
September.
24, okay, good to know, which is
Yeah.
better, is
Which is
better.
more opportunity for new beginning. But again, you still don't want to necessarily control the new
Totally.
beginning. You just want to say, hey, I'm trying to bring in something new in my life with
Right.
career or with this or with that. It doesn't mean like I want it to be this exact job in this exact position. This
Yep.
because it may not show up the way that you
You
fully
don't
want it
know.
to, or it may, it could go either direction. Um, Here's the thing. So this eclipse that we just had is in the sign of Pisces, which is very much a reflective, intuitive, spiritual sign, but
Hmm.
also very focused on feelings and emotions and empathy and lots of naps, lots of sleeping. That's why a lot of people have, some people have been like either extremely tired this past week or other people have been extremely wired. It's been almost like
Hmm.
extremes on either side.
Totally.
Um, Pisces is a sign of people with a lot of Pisces in their natal birth chart at birth, that really likes to sleep and take a lot of naps because that's how they integrate. That's how they process. So they need, typically, they're also really empathetic and really tapped into energy more than some other signs are. It doesn't mean everyone isn't, but it just means it just comes even more natural to them. So because they feel everything around them, they feel everything around them. Everything. So they do need more rest. They do need more downtime to recharge, to process, to purge. So right now we've just had this Pisces eclipse where people have been like, I'm feeling a lot, I'm crying a lot, I'm purging a lot. So for some people, it may not have been like an extreme purge. It may have just been an emotional purge where suddenly you're like
Mm.
feeling all the emotions that you've been like building up and absorbing around you. And you're like, I don't even understand where all this emotion came from. Like, why am I crying so much this
Right.
week? So that's still a purge. Crying is still a form of purging,
Yep.
right? So it's almost like the full moon eclipse that we just had was all about, okay, let's clear out the dead weight. Let's trim the fat. Let's clear
Hmm.
out the old as much as we can. And for a lot of people, it's been like just the emotional shit we've been holding on to that we still need to purge, that we need to release. There's been a lot of grief showing up for a lot of people this week, because not just because of some of the endings that have happened this year, but just because of like, when you're always in like a forward movement and movement and action, 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 and like I'm trying to keep up with all the changes, you don't always sit back and realize like, oh my God, like I didn't realize like because I've grown so much, or because this ending happened, or because that happened, or because that happened, like I've lost this friendship, or I've lost this person, or I've lost this. So there has been some like reality checks of grieving where we haven't processed the emotions throughout the growth that's coming up right now as well. So
Yep.
that being said, if you're still feeling this way into Monday, that's normal. You may still feel this way for a couple of weeks, guys. Emotions just don't go away overnight. We're not robots, we're human beings, or
Yep.
we're spiritual beings in human form, in human
Yep.
bodies,
Totally.
right? So 2 weeks from now, on September 21st, we're going to have a new moon eclipse in the sign of Virgo. And Virgo is very much a sign that's focused on efficiency,
Mm.
order, and more importantly, health. That's
Okay.
why when I was messaging with you, I said health is going to be a big theme for a lot of
Mm.
people this month.
Yep.
Okay. The ways we've been taking care of our health and the ways we haven't. And this also includes mental health. How perfect kismet timing of you releasing a book about anxiety,
Totally.
right? Like, and what's really showing up for a lot of my clients personally right now is where us not taking care of our spiritual health, us not taking care of our mental health, us not taking care of our psychological health is starting to impact our physical health.
Hmm.
And I'm not saying that to, again, cause fear and anxiety with anybody, but it's almost like some of the health issues that have come up for a lot of people that I've seen has been like, well, this has been building because I haven't like grieved this, or I haven't mourned this, or I haven't been processing this, or I've been emotionally holding on to this. And so what's happening this month is, unfortunately, for a lot of us, we're getting a reality check of when we don't take care of our health, nothing else matters. And I actually said this in the monthly call, the predictions that I did for your website. I said, guys, and I'm sorry if this sounds really harsh, but like, I don't care what responsibility you have with your family. I don't care what responsibility you have with your children. I don't care what responsibility you have with your parents, with your job, with your work, with your friends, with your spouse. If you don't have your health, nothing else matters.
True.
Because then you can't show up for everybody else. You can't show up for your job. And this month is really highlighting where like we have, because we've been trying to keep up with so much, for a lot of us, we've been making our health, or we putting our health on the back burner. So, and certain themes have been coming up to people where they're like, I didn't even realize how unhealthy that was. I didn't realize how unhealthy that pattern was. I didn't realize how unhealthy that eating habit was. I didn't realize how unhealthy that person was in my life.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not just about what you're doing, it's also about what you're allowing
Yep.
into your energy and into your circle that's also been affecting your mental health, your spiritual health, and your physical health. So what I just say, this eclipse season is about the purging, right? So now that we're getting amplified in the purging for the new moon eclipse that's going to show up in 2 weeks, I want you to think like, what do I want to bring in that's new, that's going to be more healthy,
Okay. Love that.
right? Whether that is actual for your physical health or whether
Yeah.
it's like I'm clearing out toxic people in my life. I want to bring in more healthy people into my life.
And, when you were talking about Virgo, you were saying, I think, like structure and stuff, like
Well, structure more
organization.
about like
So,
organization, planning,
yes. So I'm
trimming,
thinking like if
efficiency,
it's,
more like efficiency,
yeah,
working smarter,
efficiency.
not harder
Yeah,
necessarily.
exactly. And so when it comes to, I love that reframing of like, what can I do more of that's going to benefit my health? I'm kind of thinking like new routines, right? Like it's like all of a sudden we've had such rapid growth, such rapid change. A lot of us have had a rug pull. A lot of us have been avoiding the rug pull. Um, and now we're pausing, we're reflecting, old things are coming back. There's a bit of grieving. There's sort of that emotional processing that we didn't take the time to do. And I'm feeling all of that. Um, and then it's sort of, allow this new moon on September 21st, this new moon eclipse, to sort of reframe your routines during your day, right? If
Virgo is
like
very focused on routine, by the way.
yeah, and so that's
They
what
love
I'm
their
really
routine.
feeling. Yeah, and so it's like, if you have a bowl of cereal at like 9 p.m. every night, it's like, well, maybe I don't do that tonight, maybe I have some carrots and hummus instead if I'm kind of snacky or whatever, right? So yeah, I think that it's not about these huge grand manifestations. I think it's more so about the smaller, the routine-oriented stuff. And you and I were on a call, just like a friend call, catch up the other day, and you're actually writing a book right now too. And I think it's brilliant. Can I mention what it is, what it's about? Or do you not want?
Yeah. No, that's
Yeah.
okay. You can mention what
Okay,
it's about.
cool.
Yeah. This is like
Um,
the first public. Yeah, let's
announcement.
just do it.
You're working on it. You're
Let's
working. We're
dive
gonna
in.
get we're gonna get people pumped about it. But I've been thinking about it since you mentioned it because I'm like, this book is so freaking needed. Like it is like and it's same thing. It just hasn't been done before. So it's a book on astrology, but specifically it's sort of about that. You're not necessarily like okay, you can obviously correct me if I'm wrong, but like a kind of like a purpose or like what's the word I'm looking for? Like oh, fulfillment. That's the word.
Fulfillment.
It's
That's the
like
key word.
yes,
Yeah.
that's the key word, right? It's like so everyone in there is I'm just like talking about your book for you, but like it just impacted me when we talked about it because you told me about something that I've been thinking about since that conversation, which was maybe a week or two ago. And so you're talking about fulfillment and how everyone in their charts, right, based on a certain placement, they have a certain fulfillment in their life. And whether you want to associate fulfillment to your career, your mission, or just something that feels like it's you, it's what you're here to do, right? And so what you told me based on my placements in my chart that my fulfillment in life was about my career, but hey, some people have it about family. Some people have it about community and friendships, right? I think, and as you were mentioning in that call, that so many people associate their fulfillment to their career. Well, I've got to be
Or their
my mission
purpose.
and
Yeah, their
yeah,
purpose
my
with career.
purpose is my career, and that's what I'm here to do. And obviously, that's just not the case for most people. But for me, yeah, it came down to it was career, but it was also like routines, right? It was a career and routines. And I've just been thinking about that since you mentioned it. And I'm like, wow, like that's really impactful. And there is and I'm like a very unroutine oriented person because I kind of show up in my day and be like, okay, well, what do I feel like doing today? And I have the beauty in my life of really showing up and doing that and doing whatever kind of lights me up in the moment. Um, but yeah, so when you're talking about Virgo and you're talking about this new moon eclipse, it really feels like reassociating and realigning sort of the routine. Like this is a perfect time. Like what better way to manifest? Because if we're stuck in survival, if we are in fight or flight, then you can't manifest that new house or that new job or that new relationship. Start small. Start on yourself and ask yourself, how can I readjust my routine and realign that to better fulfill not just my day to day, not just my soul, but my health as well. And so your next book or your first book really is going to be all about really helping people better understand themselves through their placements and their fulfillment. And I
Yeah.
just think that's absolutely so freaking needed. So
Oh,
hopefully you are well on your way. I know you are so, so busy. I hope you're well on your way to
I'm really
writing
working
that
on writing,
book.
trying to write this as quickly as possible without sacrificing content and
Yep,
information. Thank you.
I
I
know.
had no idea you were going to mention the book, so I appreciate that shout out. I will say that, and this is in no way dismissing any other astrology books that I have. I have like over 40 to 50 on my bookshelf alone. You know, you've been to my place, you've seen them. But so many astrology books focus on like the self-discovery piece of who am I? And while that is also important, I do that in sessions all the time, but my book's going to really focus on, well, now that you know who you are, what's next? What are you going to do
Love
about
that.
it? Right? Like,
Yep.
what do you do? One of the key quotes on my website is knowledge is its power. And I always say, I didn't come up with that quote, right? But I put it on my website and I say, like, what good is the knowledge if you don't know what to do with the knowledge, if you don't know what to do with the information? So I'm like, how, like so many people are discovering their birth chart, they're discovering their purpose, they're discovering what's going to find them fulfillment. And then what I'll do in the book and also in sessions with clients, what I'm going to write about in the book is like, okay, now that you know this is where you're going to find fulfillment, now that you know this is where you'll find your purpose, here are some action steps, here's some like strategic steps on like what to do next so that you can step towards fulfillment. Because
Mhm.
whether you realize it's going to bring you fulfillment or not, this is actually where you find fulfillment. And for you, Liz, because you're such a like unroutine person, it might shock you. Actually, I'll put money on this. It will probably shock you and surprise you how much more fulfilled you feel once you have a routine in place. Where some people in their chart, I'll be like, you're a little bit too attached to your routine. You need to be a little bit more
Right,
like
flexible.
bring more flexible or more
Well,
adaptive.
you also mentioned to me a couple weeks ago that that fulfillment placement, right, in your chart is called like a later in life or
Yeah, I
late
call it a late
bloomer.
bloomer
Yeah,
place.
you
That's
call
what
it
I
a late
call it.
bloomer
Yeah.
placement, right? Which I love. And like I'm 33, so I'm like, I don't know how much later, but I am starting to feel that way.
Well, it's usually when
Um,
I say late bloomer, I mean like for a lot of people, it takes them to like their 50s to start embracing this part of their chart.
yeah.
And you
Which
can do it earlier, like 30s and 40s, but there's a level of self-awareness that has to show up before your 50s of like understanding, oh, this is what I need to be learning. So now I'm gonna like put focus here because I know that's gonna bring me my path to fulfillment. But most people, if they don't start learning that, the energy starts to shift in their 50s is typically when it
Mhm.
starts to happen where they get pushed towards stepping towards their path of fulfillment whether they're ready or not, and that's when people usually have a midlife crisis, right? And they're like
Um,
everything's falling apart and I'm like, or is it finally coming together? Right.
Right. And the old has to fall apart in order for it to come together. And I just want to like and we're gonna just wrap up here, but just a little bit of a public service announcement, PSA. Uh, Never ever chat GBT your astrology. I'm just gonna put it out there, okay? Because like months ago I did this and I was like, I wonder what chat GBT says about my astrology and who I am. And it literally called me a Gemini. I'm like, I've never been a Gemini in my life. And so in that moment, I had an existential crisis of like, oh my God, am I not really a Leo rising? Am I a Gemini? Well, whatever it told me, like, I literally had a full meltdown. And then I realized that it got it completely wrong. Like, I put in my like birth chart info completely wrong. So please never do that. Um, just don't do it. I don't know why it can't figure out astrology. It just literally can't. And that's why you want to go to someone like Asha. So once again, all of Asha's links are going to be in the description below. Definitely make sure that you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, if you enjoy this content. If you want to know more about astrology, obviously just go get your own session from Asha. Come on over to my website and check out the monthly astrology reading videos that she does. So, so spot on. And hopefully I will see all of you this week coming up in the Galactic Federation meeting, where we're going to be talking to Mother Gaia and the sun and figuring out where we're at with the whole light and dark battle and just kind of getting a little bit of a reprieve, just a little bit of a slowdown and a check-in. And I think we all freaking need it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So as always, Asha, thank you so much for being a part of my life and the community. And I
Thank
just
you.
really love and appreciate you so, so much.
I appreciate you and everyone in your community as well. You have really great people here.
Yeah. All right. Until next time. Bye, everyone. Bye
Bye,
for now.
everybody.